Welcome to Water into Wine, a podcast with Father Charleston Wilson, rector at Church of the Redeemer in Sarasota, Florida. I'm Grier Ferguson, the communications director at the church. Father Charleston is a priest, husband, father of two, Anglophile, sock enthusiast, Motown fanatic, and proud native of Linden, Alabama. Oh, and a wine connoisseur. We're sitting down to chat with him about how to invite more grace into your life, how to develop a deeper relationship with God, and how to enjoy a great glass of wine. We're meeting at the intersection of music, faith, wine, and a good helping of modern cultural references. Put it all together, and we're telling the story of God's love and bringing it to life in a fresh way. Join us right here for casual conversations with your spiritual sommelier. Today, we're talking about gratitude. And to start the conversation, we're opening a bottle of wine. What are we drinking today, Father Charleston?
Well, Grier, thank you very much. And we are drinking a 2021 Giné from a region called Priorat. And it's in Spain, or if you're from there, and based on the fact that 50% of people in Catalonia want to leave Spain, you might say it's a Catalonian wine. And the reason we're drinking this is twofold. The biggest lacuna in my wine lexicon is Spanish wine.
Mm.
And I just got back from Barcelona.
That's right.
And this is about 2 hours from Barcelona. And I wanted to drink local. And I've just been blown away with this, and I'm late to discovering Priorat wine. And our topic today is gratitude. And so I hope you don't think it's cheesy, but I'm really grateful that I got to go, that I got to discover lots of Priorats, and to actually bring some back and to share with you today a region that I really love.
Well,
now, and that's what we're having.
that is
and
a
you-
little cheesy, but I will allow it.
Thank you. I know it's cheesy, but I really am grateful in a deep sense for discovering this wine.
And did you go to this vineyard?
We did not. It's about 2 hours out. It's about 2,500 feet elevation.
Okay.
But every place in Barcelona, every list is just filled with Priorats.
Mm.
It's not as famous as its cousin Rioja, but that's down south
Okay.
in Spain. So I wanted to stick local. There's lots I want to say about it when we have a taste, and why I think it's important to try some and make it part of your wine routine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this is, like you said, we're talking about gratitude and how to cultivate an attitude of gratitude, as you sometimes say. Well, should we take a sip right now? Should we
Sure,
taste
please.
it?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right.
Remember, we always take a look at the wine. The wine looks fine. Then we smell the wine.
Okay, and we're swirling. You're
Yep.
swirling in the glass.
And then don't be shy. Put your nose in it.
I'm mainly trying not to spill.
Yes. Put your nose in it. And then a nice sip.
The sipping always makes me laugh.
Yeah, well, it's that you can't see, dear listener, but I have to pull the wine almost like you would be drinking out of a straw. I have to pull the wine across my tongue with that gross sound of so that I can really get the full effect of this wine. This wine is 50% Garnacha, if you want to use the Spanish word. Most of us would remember the same grape in the French word Grenache.
Mm.
And 50% Carignan. And they can play with all sorts of grapes, even some Syrah. And the wine has a slight, I don't know if you pick it up, it's a big wine, but it has a slight mineral after finish, and that comes from the soil. The soil there, I think the word it's a slate, and you can see it. It's almost black. In fact, the word in Spanish for the soil translates licorice in English.
So are there licorice notes in this?
I don't get licorice notes so much. That's just more the coloring of the soil. But I do. I pick I get slate. I get pomegranate. I get some cherry. This is incredibly versatile with food. It's frankly a little tight right now. We just opened this. I think I would open this an hour before I wanted to have it.
Tight. What does that mean?
It just needs a little oxygen. Too much oxygen kills a wine, makes it go off. A little bit of oxygen is your friend. That's why we decant some wines. We don't always, but we decant some, just get some oxygen in there.
So how do you know for each bottle how long it should be open before drinking?
You don't. So it's the short
that's
answer.
Helpful.
So it's a mystery. It's not quite like the Trinity in terms of difficulty and understanding, but it is a guessing game. Sometimes some of the older wines, if you open it too soon, they sort of go to glory,
Mm.
and they lose their flavors. Younger wines, they can always benefit from a little oxygen.
Like
Whether you
time.
just open the bottle and leave it there for a little bit, or if you want to decant it, or get some fancy aerating device. I
Okay.
use them sometimes at home.
10 minutes, 15 minutes, something
I would
like
put
that.
this one out an hour.
Okay.
But
Okay.
this is it's a big boy.
Okay.
But it's a food wine, and this is why I love Priorats. They go with food, and this would be excellent with pizza.
Mm.
I don't mean Pizza Hut. I mean like
You
a
mean
real.
Papa John's?
Oh yeah, right. I mean like a Neapolitan style oven.
Okay. Blaze pizza.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's what I mean. I think this would be great with actually American spaghetti, like your grandmother would have made, or my
Nice.
grandmother made.
Yep.
Italian bolognese sauce. This would be great with that. And the reason it can stand up to that, so many wines just flop when you get those powerful sauces.
Mm-hmm.
It's because those sauces like have tomatoes and things that have acid.
Right.
And so here's a real life hack. If you want to be a pro food pairing person with wine, the rule of thumb is I want more acid in my glass than I have in my dish.
Oh,
And that'll make it stand up. That's why your wine at Thanksgiving is always horrible.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't matter how nice the wine is. It tastes bad because you invariably aren't drinking a wine with enough acidity.
Because of the turkey and
Well, there's so many flavors in that awful cranberry can stuff, and you put
I
all
love
that.
that.
Yeah, well, that's everybody's favorite. But try to pair them. It's the hardest meal of the year to pair.
Yeah.
It's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But if you always have in the back of your mind, I need more acid in my glass than on my plate. Some people in the wine business describe it as the role of acid as being your friend in wine
Mm-hmm.
is sort of like the structure of sugar water in lemonade. The sugar water you need because otherwise you would just drink lemon juice, and that would not be a very pleasant experience for most people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's some fad diet with all lemon juice,
Mm-hmm.
but most people would not want that. So acid's important, and Priorat wines, to be a red wine, have enough acidity to be your friend with these tomato sauce pastas and bolognese and pizza, because the acid is what makes it bright and crisp and fresh and balanced, and it prevents it from tasting flat when you eat with it. Because we've said in this series, it's not about just drinking wine all day and being inebriated.
Mm-hmm.
It's about having some wine and a meal, bringing down the temperature of your life and your soul and relaxing a little bit and being a little more open to those simple pleasures, gifts from God.
Yes.
Which wine is a gift from God because the Bible says it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wine to gladden the heart, as
Yeah.
the psalmist says.
How many times is wine in the Bible?
Oh, I don't know, but
A lot,
it's
right?
tons.
Yeah.
It's tons.
So it's biblical.
It is biblical. Hallelujah.
So, as Father Charleston mentioned, our topic today is gratitude. And we're going to talk about incorporating gratitude into our daily lives, paying attention to and being grateful for simple joys, the danger of not practicing gratitude, and how we can be grateful even amid hard times. So, let's start with how we can incorporate more gratitude into our lives. Is that something that you've been trying to intentionally focus on lately?
Well, I'll tell you the truth, since I'm not allowed to lie on this podcast. I sort of woke up in 2026 and thought to myself, you have really become an ingrate self. And I'll tell you a story. It's somewhat embarrassing. I live in a section of town that requires me to cross a section of town that is called Pinecraft.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a huge Mennonite community. And they don't drive cars, as you know, so they're always on bicycles and always darting across the street.
Mm-hmm.
And over the course of the whole year, I developed a dislike, literally, for Mennonites. And simply
And the
because,
Amish?
and the Amish, for no good reason. And I said to myself, those people have done nothing to you. What is wrong with you? They are not the problem. You, self, are the problem. So I decided, and it sounds hokey and cheesy, since we've already used that word, I decided I was going to be intentional about being grateful. I wanted to make 2026 a year where I developed an attitude of gratitude. And that's how I discovered it. And I want to tell you we're not into 2026 very far, but it almost feels like when they landed on the moon. I feel like it's been a small step, but a giant leap for my soul. And it has made a difference. I smiled and waved at an Amish person on the way to the parish.
Change is possible.
Change is possible, and it's baby steps. And I just can't tell you the difference it has made already in my life, being consciously grateful for many things like we would call simple pleasures that aren't inconsequential in their simplicity, but are things like I awoke and gave thanks that my parents loved me when I was a child, which is really not simple at all. It's very profound and sort of sets us up, as it were, for the rest of our lives. But I looked out and I gave thanks for the moon. Hello, moon. And it's again a small step, but a giant leap. It will become a giant leap for your soul when you're actively making present anamnesis, that Greek word, which is remembrance, translated rather poorly in English to remembrance. Do this in remembrance of me. That word is anamnesis in Greek, and it means to make present. So when you make gratitude present, it changes the heart, and it bends you towards God and towards others. It leads to things like compassion. It starts with gratitude. I'm rambling, but I guess it's a podcast, so that's what I'm supposed to do. But most of us think gratitude, this is sort of where it goes off the rails. Most of us think it's a feeling that we get when things go our way, or something was right, or we get the outcome that we wanted in a certain situation. She agrees to go on the date, and so I'm all aglow. She dumps me 6 weeks later, and I'm so lonesome I could cry. And that was, did you know Hank Williams grew up about an hour from Linden, Alabama?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Have you been to his?
I have. There's a museum. There's never a queue to get in.
Oh.
I guess it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Georgiana, Alabama is where he's from. But that's not really what the Bible and Christianity means when it talks about an attitude of gratitude. It's a vastly different picture. For a Christian, actually, our neighbors have just planted all this beautiful bougainvillea down their wall of their renovated house. And gratitude is a bit of all the work they've done to make that so beautiful. It could be on the cover of a Palm Beach magazine. And they're out there all the time tinkering around with that bougainvillea to make it beautiful. And it was Saint Therese of Avila who said, "Untilled ground," she said, "however rich, will bring forth thistles and thorns, so also the mind of man." And that's a fancy way of saying if we're not intentional about gardening gratitude every single day, I believe that the weeds of bitterness that come just so naturally, like my natural anger that someone is crossing the street in front of me on a bicycle when I'm late to get somewhere. I think you have to be actively combating that because I think if you don't, it just takes over by default. And the default position now, I mean, it's just grumpy. Everybody is so grumpy.
Yeah. And it's right below the surface a lot of times.
Yes, it is. It is indeed. And this is something you can do. You can start today.
So what do you just decide I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to be more grateful, or how do you make it happen every day?
Well, I wish I could say I was the master of it. We're just in the first week of January, and I'm failing it multiple times every day. But I'm intentional, and I'm conscious, and I'm aware. Um, and part of it is, I think it's helpful to focus on the simple joys that we have every single day.
Mm,
Um, and simple things aren't inconsequential, as I said. They're gifts. And of course, St. James says every good and perfect gift is from above.
mm,
Actually, it was Ignatius, I think of Loyola, who used to say that ingratitude, he said, is the cause, beginning, and origin of all evils and sins. And you want to ask, well, why is that? Because when I'm not grateful, when you're not grateful, the emphasis shifts on the wrong syllable and it squeezes God out of the picture. Because the whole problem with my relationship to God is that I want to be God. And I think we tend to forget that every breath, as a preacher once said, is borrowed air.
mm,
Um, what else should I say? I think it's a lot easier to be thankful when your ship comes in, whatever your ship is that you want to come in.
mhm.
Um, I mean, have you ever heard of a forlorn lottery winner? We actually had a lottery winner in my hometown. I don't know if that means my statistical ability to win the lottery is probably even lower than the average
Yeah,
person.
yeah.
What are the chances 2 people in a town of 1,200 hit millions?
I mean, it's
It's
possible.
possible.
It's possible.
It's impossible if you don't
Lyndon
buy a ticket.
Lyndon could just be particularly lucky.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's Lyndon in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But the guy that won it, I remember he slept with the ticket under his pillowcase in his pillowcase the night before he went to collect the money.
Yeah, you don't wanna lose that.
No, no, it's a bearer bond. I mean, it really
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
It's whoever has it has it.
yeah.
But it is, and you're probably gonna ask me, it's you're gonna ask hard questions like, probably, I suspect, well, when your ship doesn't come in, how do you
That
rem
question may be coming.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
then I'll be
yeah,
quiet.
yeah. So, tell us more about what happens when we aren't grateful. What's the ramification for us?
You're go at the end of the day, and I meet people like this, particularly as frankly as they are at the end of their life, and there are 2 types, really, at the end of the day, that people who have some joy in their heart, which has come from an experience of love, and there are people who have hard hearts who are angry. The absence of gratitude is the differential, and I've seen many, many people die actually in the room, and it is actually possible to die with a smile on your face. I have also seen people die with a scowl, and I know which one I want to be. It's not so simple as I'm mastering, a recipe. It's an awareness, cultivated, but an awareness over time, and it leads to a grateful heart, which I think the Bible almost is clear is just indispensable if you wanna see the face of God. I mean, we're almost talking about humility too, which is a shade of gratitude. What's the, author? She's a bit new agey for me, but a great writer. She did I forget the author's name. She did Eat, Pray, Love, that very famous.
Oh, Elizabeth Gilbert?
Yeah, yeah, she's a fabulous
Mm,
writer.
mhm.
And she's right on this quote of hers. She says, "The biggest difference between you and God is he doesn't think he's you." And,
Yeah,
I love that. So
yeah,
we're talking a little bit about that.
yeah, yeah. So, there's obviously a lot of influence in our lives today for many of us from social media. Um, and I think that can be a source of anxiety for people, a source of comparison. How can you not compare yourself to what you're seeing,
Yeah.
the highlight reel that we're seeing
Oh, yeah.
on Facebook or Instagram or
Yeah.
wherever? Is gratitude the antidote for that?
You're onto something very profound. You probably should write a theological book tonight.
Oh, I don't think so.
I'm being very serious because I think it is, and I think the cure um, to all of that is staring right at us and is available for free.
Hmm.
Now, I want to pivot and just say, though, I recognize it's harder to have an attitude of gratitude when your life sort of feels like it's in the middle of a country song.
Yeah.
What's the old joke about if you play a classic country hit and rewind, what do you get? You get your truck back, your dog back, your girlfriend back. You get all these things back. So, and Dolly Parton actually, remember Coat of Many Colors. And in that song, I love Dolly Parton. Just want to put that on the record. And I think that I actually think Dolly Parton and Nick Saban should be president and vice president of the United States.
But Dolly is president, right?
I'm fine with either, but
Nick
yeah,
is
it's
VP.
either way. I think they're fabulous people and leaders.
Yeah.
But in that song, in Coat of Many Colors, she's poor and which would be an occasion you would think to not be grateful. And her coat is horrible, and they make fun of her terrible, raggedy coat. But in that song, if you remember, she got onto something profound, like you just said, which is what makes me think of it. She sang in there, one is only poor only if they choose to be. And there was someone who had every, you might say, legitimate pathway to be express ingratitude. She understood something that St. Paul meant when he said to the church in Thessalonica, and he wrote these words from prison. He said, rejoice always. Give thanks in all circumstances. Now, have to be very, very clear here. He didn't say give thanks for all circumstances. He said give thanks in all circumstances, because ultimately the greatest gift, God, is always present with you.
Have you ever used a gratitude journal? I have one that I've kind of gone back and forth. I've used it a little bit, and then I take a break, and then I use it. And what do you think of those?
It's my first time to try it. I'm using just notes on my iPhone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
You have your phone with you.
yeah, I've got my phone
That's
always,
good.
which is
Good
good and
tool.
bad, but
Yeah.
I guess it's a good way to use a thing I don't really like anymore. But
Yeah. So you just jot down
I
when you
jot
think of
down.
something.
I jot down,
Mhm.
and
I think there's something to putting it down, whether it's handwriting
it
or
cements it.
typing.
It does.
Yeah.
And in prayer of gratitude, I'm trying to do less talking, if this makes any sense, in prayer, and filling the usual litany with expressions of gratefulness. Even one was, I looked over last night at dinner, and my wife's hair looked so beautiful. And I was just so thankful that she's so beautiful and pretty. And it hit me in that moment, and so I gave thanks for it in a silent little prayer.
Well, I hope you told her too.
I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know, typical man,
Okay. Yeah.
typical husband.
Well, tell her tonight.
I will.
So, so it's possible, you're saying, to be grateful even when bad things are happening to us, around us.
I don't think it's just possible. I know it's possible. Let me tell you about a parishioner. I will not give his name because I don't have his permission. He had a bad appendix rupture and appendicitis. It was really necrotic, so he had to be in the hospital for a week, and he was not a happy bunny. But they did a scan of his abdomen and found a mass on his kidneys. That was immediately, they said, we don't even need to do a biopsy. This is cancer.
Wow.
They caught it early, and he's fine. Now, there was something that looked terrible, but through that awful thing, they found early cancer, and he's cancer-free. I can't explain that. That's a bit like Good Friday turn Easter. Looks pretty terrible, but through that comes the salvation of the world. And God is doing that. He just is. They used to talk about providence, being God's providence. People don't really believe that anymore, but it's still true.
Yeah, you don't hear the word providence as much.
No.
anymore.
It ended, I think, in the 19th century. And then, when we got AI and man on the moon and the internet, we fancy ourselves as in charge. Just a quote that just popped in my head from St. Augustine. He said, what'd he say? A Christian should be an alleluia from head to foot.
Mm.
And that's sort of the goal here.
Well, now it's time for a listener question. And we've touched on this a little bit already in this podcast episode. So I thought you might want to delve into it a little bit more. Why does God ask us to be grateful even when we're suffering? And the second part of the question is it wrong to feel ungrateful when we're struggling or in pain?
Okay, dear listener, it's always important to recognize our standing before God, whether it's the best day of our life or the worst, because He is there. He is sovereign. He is Lord over all, and nothing's going to change that. And we might as well just get used to it. And your second bit of the question, is it wrong to feel ungrateful for something? Not at all, because St. Paul is very clear with the use of his words. Rejoice and give thanks at all times, not in all things, but not for all things.
Mm-hmm.
We all have friends and family suffering or sick, but not for all things, but in all things. Rejoice and give thanks to God, because we know the end of the story. We know that whatever we're facing is a chapter. It's not the title of my book. The title is Jesus. And the Bible is so very clear that wherever we are, the psalmist, what's he say? If I make my bed in heaven or if I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. That's why we can give thanks all the time, but not for everything, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a critical difference.
Yeah, it does. That one word.
One word changes the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, we also have a bonus question, and it is a very serious one.
Oh, my.
What is your favorite meal? And I don't mean just like, is it breakfast, lunch, or dinner? A specific dish or menu.
That's hilarious. When my daughter Camille was little, she was obsessed with that. I don't know why she cared so much, but she always asked me, what would be your death row meal? And finally, after about 6 months of this question, I went, do you want me to like be electrocuted or something? Where are you going with this? But if I apply that, I probably can get to an actual dish. And I got to tell you, I am from Linden, Alabama, and probably some real Southern fried chicken.
Oh.
Which is just like wine doesn't grow the same way in another region. I'm sorry. There's just no replicating a deep South version of fried chicken.
Have you made it yourself?
I've tried. I'm not as good. And I'm a pretty good fryer, actually. But that's probably it. That's probably my favorite meal. And I like it with champagne, by the way.
Oh. Yeah, fried chicken and
champagne.
I guess it's a form of fried chicken, right?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
But champagne perfect with fried chicken because, again, back to our acidity thing.
Yeah.
You've got the fat in the chicken, and I've got way more acid in my glass, so they complement each other instead of fight each other. It makes them both taste better. I also love a good hot dog, I must confess. I love if Malaysia needs something from Costco, because I like their $1.50 Hebrew National hot dog.
Yeah, see, I like the Sam's Club hot dogs.
Oh, they're not as good.
Well, if you have a question for Father Charleston, you can email it to us at podcast@redeemersarasota.org. That's podcast@redeemersarasota.org, and we might ask it on the next episode. So do you have any final tasting notes to share about the wine we're drinking today?
It's opened up a little bit, and I
Let me try it again.
I actually get a hint of like allspice with it. And it really makes me want a nice Italian pasta with bolognese sauce on it.
Yeah, that would be good.
But again, it's from Priorat. Hope people will try some Priorat in their lives with food.
Yes. Very good. Let's go get some pasta.
I'm in.
Thanks so much for joining us for Water into Wine with Father Charleston Wilson. We're looking forward to sharing more grace, more music, and more wine with you again soon. If you liked what you heard, follow the show on your favorite podcast platform. And if there's someone in your life, maybe a friend or a colleague or a family member, who might like to hear this episode, please share it with them. Water into Wine is produced by Church of the Redeemer in Sarasota, Florida. Join us for our services in person or via our live stream. And learn more at redeemersarasota.org/podcast. That's redeemersarasota.org/podcast.